Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. So today we are starting a new series of videos. Right now we've got our turbo testing series on the go, but we are starting an engine series now. So this is an engine I just picked up today. It's from an 01 6-speed truck, so it's a high output. The reason I got this engine is because the ECMs are worth a bit more, and also it has an HO pump. So I have an SO pump and an HO pump now, and I want to tear them apart to kind of see what the difference is. This engine also has a set of head studs, which is nice. I think it had higher K, like somewhere around 400,000 or 500,000. I don't really remember. It doesn't really matter to me. It's getting all torn apart. But. So the plan with this series is we are doing a 6.1 stroker for my second gen. So in the first couple of videos, I will do like an engine teardown, and then we will send stuff to machine shop, end up assembling the bottom end, decide what head to go with. This is going to be kind of a longer series. Obviously, it's pretty expensive to do some of this stuff, so kind of just as I have money, but I'm going to start the playlist now so we can get rolling on it. But yeah, we're going to start with ripping some of the accessories off and the head off and whatnot, and I'll send the head out to get checked for cracks, and that'll also kind of help us decide what direction we're going to go with, whether we're going to do our own head or if we pick a place that requires a core or not a core. So we'll go from there, but yeah, let's get into tearing this thing down. Basically, we're gonna start with ripping off the intake horn, a couple of 10 mils, rip off the valve cover, rip off the exhaust manifold, hammer the fan off, and then take some accessories off. You don't really need that many special tools. I mean, I'll need 14 mil 12 point to pull the nuts off the head studs. And then obviously a fan clutch tool helps a lot versus hammering a wrench, but there's nothing really too complicated to take one of these apart. All right, guys, I'm just gonna pause the time lapse for a second and show you guys a cool little trick. So once the connector tubes are out, you can take a valve cover bolt and you can thread it into the top of an injector. Now, if the rockers were on, you could pry off of those. Since I don't have the rockers on, I'll use this little lip that's underneath, and I'll kind of pull up and push down, and just like that, the injector comes out. So I just gotta pull these last remaining injectors out, and then we'll rip the head off. All right, guys, got the head pulled off. I was looking back, it kind of sucks. My third time lapse, it's like kind of blurry, and that's the one where I pulled the head studs out and the head off and everything. So that kind of sucks, but it is what it is. Piston's looking really nice shape. A little bit of condensation possibly, or the goings of a head gasket. But yeah, next thing, we're gonna get this mounted on the stand, and then we'll rip the rest of it apart. All right, we got the head off, engine's all mounted. I just use head bolts, and then I just have some nuts and washers for spacers. But next thing we'll do is we will pull the accessories off, the timing case off, the VP, the wiring harness, blah, 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 engine mounts, and then this might even still have oil in it. I never checked, so I'll have to make sure that's empty before we flip it upside down. And I will probably pull the rods and pistons out, but leave the crank in it for now. I will be needing to use that to press the gear off of and then press the gear off the 6.7 one. I guess we could discuss how I'm going to make this engine a stroker. So basically what I will be doing is I'll be using the 5.9 block, and then I'll be using the 6.7 crank, and that creates a 6.1. And then I haven't decided yet. I'm either going to machine 80 thou off the pistons or get rods that are 80 thou shorter. Haven't decided yet. Also haven't decided if I'm going to buy the industrial block stiffener, which uses the oil pan bolts. It's the only girdle that you can put in one of these that you don't have to put holes in, because unlike a common rail, there's no holes in between where the mains are and where the oil pan bolt holes are to put a girdle in. The other thing is helical gear versus straight cut gear. So I need to press the gear off of both cranks and then put the 5.9 gear onto the 6.7 crank. That way all the gears match up. Yeah, that's the plan as of right now. You know, I'll have to go to the machine shop, get decked, get checked, get line bored. So if I do rods, it'll just get a set of Street Fighters that are 80 thou shorter. If I cut the pistons, I will do 12 valve rods that are shot beam. Either one is going to be good for the power level that I want, but we'll just kind of play it by ear. This isn't really something I'm even planning on doing this summer. This is kind of just prep for the project next winter basically, but I figured I grabbed the engine, may as well do a little video on it. I didn't do a video when I stripped the 6.7 down, so may as well do a video on this. All right, now next things we're gonna do, we're gonna rip the ECM off, rip the whole wiring harness off, we'll rip the pump off, timing cover, all this like AC compressor, alternator, water pump, that's all gonna go in the garbage, probably oil cooler in the garbage too. Engine mounts, I'm gonna replace, but I'll probably hang on to them. Same with the dampener. Power steering and vacuum pump, maybe hang on to just because I have one of these engines in my Cummins, but a couple things we'll hang on to. I'm guessing this must have had a FAS on it, judging by this delete plate here, but yeah, we'll do that, make sure there's no oil in it, and once that's all torn down, we can flip the engine over and rip the bottom end apart. Alright guys, if you've never seen in the front of one of these engines, crank, oil pump, cam, power steering / vacuum pump, VP. So we're going to rip the VP out, just makes it a little bit easier to get to a plug behind there, and then we're going to continue on. I did pull the dipstick and it is full of oil, so obviously need to empty that because I flipped the engine over. It's just gonna come pouring out onto the ground. So I know I've done a video on replacing a VP before, but it's really nice and easy to see right now. You got your 1, 2, 3, 4, your 2 at the back, and then obviously your nut on the pump. Alright, getting there. Just gonna rip the engine mounts off, the oil cooler off, and then we're gonna flip it over. Alright, we got her flipped upside down now. Rip the oil pan off. One thing about a 24 valve compared to a common rail is there's a tappet cover, so we can pop that off and you'll be able to see the tappets, which is pretty cool. But let's get to that, and then we can pull the cam and stuff out. I think I'm gonna leave the crank in it right now just for storage reasons. That's way I don't have to find somewhere to put it, but. You got a stick? You got a nice stick? Nice stick? Nice. Guys, there's the bottom end. I ripped the tappet cover off so you can see these are the tappets that ride up and down on the cam. Kind of cool. All right, now that we have one of these rods out, let's talk about them. Talk about why people like these, why they're referred to as the factory forged rod. So if I pull the cap off, you can see here, there is a shelf right here that mates with the rod and the opposite on the other side. So it locks the cap into place. On a high-end rod, like say a D&J or a Waggler, they have a very similar setup to this where it's a keyway. So those will be protruded on one side and then the other side will be indented where this will go in. So it locks the cap into place and stops it from rocking back and forth. Some other rods, like Carrillo uses a dowel here and here. These are Mexico. I believe there's Mexico, Brazil, possibly China, definitely USA. There's a few different brands, and I believe the only difference between this rod from a VP and a 12 valve rod is there's an extra oiling hole in here somewhere, I believe. Besides that, you can see the edges of the rods tapered. That helps oil get out. But yeah, these are a great set of rods to use on a budget for making power. All right, now that all the rods are out, let's take a look at the bearings. So this engine had somewhere around 500,000 on it. Judging by the condition of the oil and the fact that the oil plug was seized, I don't think that this truck had a lot of oil changes. So with that in mind, the bearings are not the worst I've ever seen. Something's gone through here. Something's gone through here. I can catch with a fingernail. These marks, that's just for me smacking it out with the bar. But not terrible. I mean, he sent me a video of it. It had decent oil pressure. It didn't have blow by, and like I said, we're building this engine anyway, so it's not really a huge concern. Yeah guys, that's pretty much going to be it for part one of this video. Like I said, this is going to kind of be a longer series. I picked up the engine, figured I'd tear it apart and make a video on it. I really don't plan on building this until next winter, but we'll see what happens. But more videos to come, more turbos to come, and I just appreciate you guys watching. Till next time.